Hello, my name is Nick Zangle. Welcome to my channel and welcome back if you've been here before. This is the channel where I commentate, give my opinions on social, political, and cultural topics every week. So if that is something that is interesting to you, make sure to subscribe to this channel wherever you're watching, whether it's on YouTube or on Rumble. And with that said, let's get into today's topic. So we have finally get a full interview from Olivia Jade, who is one of the more prominent figures in the college admissions scandal that happened last year, 2019, and is still kind of unraveling and in the final stages of punishments, if you will, toward people that were involved. And Olivia Jade is really the first one to give a full interview about the situation that is of newsworthy importance, if you will. And I actually questioned if I really wanted to cover this because I don't really want to give this kind of behavior more attention. And the way it's being now spun, the story or the way they're covering it is very 2020. So when I kind of took it all into perspective and I was like, you know what I do on this channel is I try to push through a lot of the bologna sandwiches that are being trying to be made out of a lot of newsworthy topics this year, and so I wanted to kind of cut through a lot of that and just give my take on it, and so that's what we're going to do. So like I said, this is Olivia Jade. She just spoke out, and she was actually on Red Table Talk, which is the talk show, if you will, from Facebook Watch, which is the Facebook streaming side of things where they have their own original content. And the show is hosted and created by Jada Pinkett Smith, who is Will Smith's, I don't even know, are they still together at this point? Are they just not married but together? Whatever their situation is. And then it's her mom, so Jada Pinkett's mom, and then her kids are on there sometimes. In this case, it was Willow Smith, who you probably know about too. So I don't have to get into much of their resume because I think most people know who the Smiths are at this point. Anyways, the show is basically just a talk show where they sit around a red table and they talk. Pretty self-explanatory. So Olivia Jade was the guest today. And the main thing I want to touch on in this video regarding what's happening is a lot of what the news that is coming out of that interview, without having to really watch the whole interview, is regarding the conversation around privilege, and that privilege is what contributed to these people doing this bribery, falsifying information to get their kids into college. And most people involved were elite people, rich people, however you want to say it, high society people, I don't know, wealthy, famous, whatever you want to call it. They have some level of influence in society to give their kids a leg up. And that was the whole crux of the college admission scandal into these high profile schools. So I want to kind of not necessarily debunk, but give another take on the whole privilege conversation that was going on in this Red Table Talk from clips I have seen, and kind of share why I think maybe the Pinketts are getting it wrong, or at least one person in particular, the Pinkett, especially the mom. So Jada Pinkett's mom basically said that the situation around Olivia Jade and the whole college admission scandal is the epitome of white privilege because, in this case, Olivia reached out to 3 black women, meaning Jada Pinkett, her mom, and Willow, the granddaughter, for help. And when the roles are reversed, meaning black women reach out to white women, the same thing is not given in return, or the help is not reciprocated. So first of all, I think this is the wrong way to look at it, because I think we should be celebrating when we put things aside like labels and race and gender, age, whatever it may be, experience. We put that all aside in order for us to come together to make each other better and understand each other more. And that's why I actually like the Red Table Talk, even though that show gets a lot of scrutiny and whatnot, and the Smiths get a lot of scrutiny. I think it was very big of Jada Pinkett, her mom, and Willow to kind of accept the help, or accept the offer for help, or accept the request for help, whatever you want to say about it, from Olivia, if it really turned out the way, because I can go on a whole rant about Hollywood and how it works and how most of these things are not organic and they're mostly set up, but and there's probably a big public relations effort behind this whole thing, but that's a whole nother topic. But I think, if anything, by Jada Pinkett's mom bringing this up as far as like the not the reciprocation or anything, it's actually working against her, because if they would have just done this, not bringing the race thing into as far as who offers help and who accepts help and who whatever, they would look like the saints in this situation, because they would come across as the understanding, as the put all the BS aside, put all our differences aside, and let's understand each other. And that is what we need right now in 2020, is the understanding, the healing, the coming together, the hearing each other out, the welcoming each other into our homes or whatever space we're in, to understand each other a little better and maybe bridge some of those gaps that avoiding each other and not talking to each other would continue to make bigger, probably. So that was my first thought. And then my second thought on this was, well, why are we holding Olivia or whoever, holding it against them for asking for help? It just doesn't make any sense to me, because why would you, if you wouldn't want someone to reject you for the color of your skin, meaning the Pinkets or anybody of color, whatever the right term is at this point, why would you even consider doing the same to other people? Unless you wanted some kind of revenge, or you feel like we have to, an eye for an eye, or because this was done to me, I have to do it to you. Why can't it just stop at some point and let's just stop doing it to each other altogether? Yes, we have a history. Yes, we have a past of doing that, but we don't get past that or have a better future by trying to punish people for something that was done in the past. And the only way it's going to stop is if we like break the cycle right now. And so that was another thing that was confusing about that comment from Jada's mom. And another thing that's a problem right now too is that we have this whole conversation around whiteness, which is now being used as a weapon against quote unquote white people, no matter what they do, whether it's good or bad. Because if you try to help someone regarding anything race related as a white person, then you are labeled as someone who has this quote unquote savior complex or white savior complex. This is the conversation that's brought up a lot regarding white couples, if you will, adopting black children or children from other countries or places where they have different skin color, and people call it white savior complex, even though probably most of the time, which there have been a few stories lately of people doing it for attention and stuff, but that shouldn't discount the people who do it out of the goodness of their heart and because the circumstances came up and it felt right, and it wasn't necessarily they were searching out for it, but they felt like it was the right thing to do. And then if you don't go out of your way, or you don't try your hardest or whatever, or bow down to people for whatever reason, then you're labeled a racist. So no matter which way you go, your whiteness, quote unquote, could be used against you no matter what. And so that is why the whole thing regarding race and privilege is a problem, because we should be looking at the privilege separate from the race, because we can find examples debunking that whole white privilege thing left and right, because there's people who are white that are not privileged, and there's people who are not white who are privileged, and vice versa. So anyways, and then another main thought I had before I go on to kind of what I think this really means for what's going on right now is that we should only be lucky to get into a place in our life where we have the amount of privilege that not only Olivia Jade and her family did have, and all the people involved in that scandal, but the Smiths too, the people who were at the red table who were opening themselves up to Olivia Jade to kind of speak on the whole situation. And the good part about privilege is that maybe you were the first person in your family or first generation to have the privilege of maybe not worrying about certain things that the previous generation had to worry about. And that means that your kids or grandkids or whoever may have less struggles because you worked hard and you gave that to them, because that was your gift to them, working hard, overcoming all the obstacles. And like I said, the Smith family, those kids were born into privilege as a result of their parents working hard to obtain the level of success that they've had. And now their kids are able to kind of breathe a little and not have the same struggles they did. So I think weaponizing privilege is kind of a slippery slope, because at some point in your life, if you keep working hard and you keep doing well, you will have that privilege. And now what are you going to do? Who are you going to point your finger at or blame for your problems and whatnot? So in my opinion, we should be pointing out all types of privilege if we really want to have an honest conversation about about it, about privilege, about whatever it may be. And you should be aware that you have it first, but also not apologize for it. So I don't think it's good to kind of ignore that you have privilege, but if you accept that you have it and you don't apologize for it, because if you think about it, at some point, someone worked really hard to overcome certain obstacles to eventually pass down whatever success they've had to you if you are the one that has privilege. And if you don't have privilege, then you might be the one working for that to give to the next generation. So those are my general thoughts. But also, if you have privilege and you're a good person and you do the right thing, I don't see what the problem is. Maybe I'm missing something here. But anyways, but in this case, in the college admission scandal, people had privilege. They may be good people at heart. I don't know them personally, but let's just say they are. But they did the wrong thing. And it looks like that's probably the case. They had good intentions for their kids, but it was the wrong way to go about it, and they should have kind of, and like Olivia, Jade said in a few clips I saw, they were in a bubble, whether it's a privilege bubble, elite bubble, Hollywood bubble, whatever you want to call it, that really allowed this behavior to be okay and maybe be acceptable, and they just happened to be the ones that got caught first. And that's kind of how the cookie crumbles, and it's unfortunate, but at some point someone was going to get caught, I think. So had to be someone, and it was them, and hopefully they at least learn their lesson and create some good out of it in some way, or at least give the idea to other people to maybe not do this. So maybe it will actually inflict change. And I also believe these people that were in this college admission scandal deserve a second chance, just like everyone else. And if we don't give these people a second chance, then we are perpetuating that two-tier system that has been so much of the conversation this past year regarding a lot of cultural issues, including the race relations issue, which I'll touch on in a few seconds, which I don't really think it's a race relations issue, but hold that thought for a second. The two-tier system that we're talking about, we can't just apply that argument to a certain group of people but not others. So if the lowest person on the totem pole, or the whoever in society that doesn't have a lot of prominence, should get a second chance, then so should these people. That's only fair. I know some people don't like hearing that, but that is how I feel, and if they continue to do it, then there's a problem. And my second to last thought is this entire story and the way it's being spun now, not last year at this time, with kind of that race angle being added to it, further supports my theory that we are actually currently in a class war disguised as a race war. And the reason I say this is because the rich and powerful want to keep their money and keep their power. So by distracting us from what's really going on, meaning class warfare, and having us not focus on the things that could actually lift us out of whatever class we're in, whether we're in lower class, want to get to middle class want to get to upper class, whatever it may be, by distracting us from that and filling our time with things that are not really what's going on, that benefits the elite, rich, powerful people. And they do this by disguising it as a race war, as what I was trying to say, because it is a lot easier to pit us against each other based on things that are easily identifiable, like the color of our skin, because it's, for lack of a better term, it's very black and white, right? You can go up, see someone on the street, and you can kind of profile them pretty quickly based on the color of their skin. It's a lot harder to profile someone, or it's not as easy, I should say, to profile someone on their class, because not everyone at every class level acts the same way. There may be some people in middle class who seem way more well off than someone in upper class just because of their lifestyle choices, and maybe they invest in certain things or hold value in certain things over others, and they might not be as prominent at face value as you think. So that's, to me, is kind of my thoughts on this whole situation regarding the college admission scandal, and especially the comments made today at the Red Table Talk with Jada Pinkett Smith and her family when they interviewed Olivia Jade. So let me know what you think in the comment section. I would love to chat it up with you all. I'm sure there's some people with similar thoughts to me, but a lot of people probably don't agree with me, and I would love to hear why either way. So with that said, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. Like I said in the beginning, if you have not subscribed yet and you want social, political and cultural commentary every week. Make sure to subscribe on Rumble or on YouTube. And if you liked what you saw here, make sure to give this video a thumbs up as you head to the comment section and chat with me. And with that said, thank you so much, and I will talk to you in the next video. Bye-bye.